2025 marks the 97th Academy Awards, better known as the Oscars. Of course, the biggest award ceremony of the year in terms of movies, and it's one that everybody has their eyes on every single year. It's always caused a little bit of controversy with what is known as snubs, which is basically a movie or an actor or a filmmaker who has missed out on a certain category that really should have been deserving of the title. Now, over the last couple of years, there's definitely been a few snubs for sure. However, there's also been some films, like, for example, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which literally ran away with everything everywhere all at once, and it was quite deservingly to do so. However, this year has definitely caused a little bit of controversy. Over the last couple days, and as of you guys watching this video, all of the awards have been announced and all the nominations have also been announced alongside it. And there's definitely some ones we need to talk about. So, in today's video, we're going to hop straight on into it. We are going to be diving into all the major categories of the Oscars in 2025. We're going to be looking at the nominations, who I think should be nominated and who I think shouldn't be nominated, Amelia Perez. And then also who I think was snubbed, so who missed out on a place in this list. Hi, my name is Luis. I'm a filmmaker specialising in animation. Here on the channel, we discuss all things Disney, parks, animation, films in general. So today's video kind of falls underneath that bracket. And if you like that sort of content, please stick around and of course subscribe if you do like that content. Before I start this video, I will just say there are a few films on this list that I have not yet seen. This is mainly due to the fact that they either have not been released in the UK or I've just not gotten around to watching them. Now, I will say I watched a hell of a lot of films in 2024. You can check out my letterboxd just there to see my thoughts on every single one of them. However, there are a lot of them that have been recently released, so hoping to watch those before the Academy Awards actually happen to get a better idea of them, but I can only do as much as I can. This is a very small channel, so unfortunately at the moment I don't get invited to any sort of premieres or anything like that, but hopefully in the future. But for now, enjoy the video. So let's get into it. Starting off with one of the biggest awards, if not the biggest of the entire ceremony, the Best Picture Award. Now, there's actually quite a few nominations for this one. We've got The Substance, we've got Wicked, we've got Conclave, we've got Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, Amelia Perez, and my personal winner is Dune Part 2. Now, I've watched Dune Part 2 twice, and for me, this is cinema in its purest form, from every single aspect. And you will hear me talk about that a lot throughout this video, because for me, Dune Part 2 was seriously underestimated and underrepresented in this awards in general. So for me, Dune 2 does win this category. I personally think that's the case. I haven't watched a lot of these films, mainly due to the fact that half of them haven't been released in the UK, which is one of my biggest pet peeves. So please, this is my petition. If you work for or you are a local cinema, especially smaller chains, give the opportunity to show some of these Academy Award nominated films before the Academy Awards come out so we can make our minds up on them. I think The Substance has a good chance. I think Anora has a good chance. I think Conclave could potentially get there. And I think The Brutalist is the only other option that could win it. For me, it's Dune Part 2 all the way. Amelia Perez, I have absolutely no idea how it has managed to get into Best Picture because the reviews online are absolutely horrendous. I also don't necessarily think that A Complete Unknown belongs in this category. Again, I'm yet to see this film. However, I've seen a hell of a lot of reviews online, and realistically, compared to some of the other biopics that have come out over the last year, especially Better Man, this one has been claimed to not be as good. So up for a Best Picture nomination? Yeah, I'm not overly sure. But for me, it really comes down to the snubs in this category, the guys that really missed out. We Live in Time, a very good picture from last year, and that has not been nominated at all this Oscars. We've also got A Real Pain, of course, a fantastic film starring Kieran Culkin, directed and also starring Jesse Eisenberg. This was a beautiful film, and I think should definitely be on this list. A lot of people have also been trying to argue for the case that Baby Girl and Long Legs should also be on this list. I Saw the TV Glow, and of course last year's best film, Madam Web. But personally, the one snub that beats everything is that Challengers was not nominated for a single thing this entire awards season. Now, Challengers, I will admit, was not my favourite film of last year. In fact, if you'd like to see what I thought of the 2024 films, you can go over to my letterboxd where you can actually see I've got a list where I ranked all of the films. Please bear in mind, this is my personal experience with these films. This is my personal opinion, and I quite like these fun, goofy films. So you will notice that some of the more serious films, such as Challengers, I just didn't resonate with as well, which is why some of the more fun films are a little bit higher up for me. I just enjoyed them. They're a better watch for my personal opinion. On to directing now. Your nominations, there are 5 of them total. You have Sean Baker for Anora. You have Brady Corbett for The Brutalist. A Complete Unknown and Amelia Perez are also then represented again in this category. You then have Coralie Farge as well for The Substance. And personally, I think either Anora, Brutalist, or The Substance could win this category. I think it's literally a toss of the coin for all of them. But seeing as I'm yet to watch Anora and The Brutalist, I'm going to have to give it to The Substance. My snubs in this category, however, are the winners. You've got Edward Berger for Conclave. And the biggest snub of this entire category, and so many people are backing us on this decision, is that Denis Villeneuve was not nominated for Dune 2. He is the immediate winner for me, because this film was absolutely incredible. Of course, that would have competed with Anora, The Brutalist, and The Substance. I do think they're very good films to go up against, but for me, I can't believe they weren't even nominated. Okay, next up, Best Actor, one of the biggest categories, of course. We've got Timothée Chalamet. He is nominated for A Complete Unknown. Now, I do think that Timothée Chalamet should have been nominated in this Oscars. He had a very, very good year, but I do not think that A Complete Unknown is the film he should have been nominated for. I think that he should have been nominated for, of course, his portrayal of Paul Atreides in Dune. I think he should win for that performance. We've then got Adrian Brody. He's been nominated for his performance in The Brutalist. We've got Coleman Domingo for his performance in Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes for his performance in Conclave, and then also Sebastian Stan for his appearance in The Apprentice. Now, I think any of these guys could win. I generally do. Personally, like I say, I think that Timothée Chalamet does deserve that title for Dune instead of A Complete Unknown. So I'm not overly sure who could win this category. My snubbed actors, however, is someone I definitely think could have won this category, and that's Daniel Craig for his appearance in Queer. We've also got Andrew Garfield in his appearance for We Live in Time. And that's kind of where the list should stop, in my opinion. However, some of the other actors that were snubbed during this category, you've got, of course, two of the biggest actors of this year, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds for their time in Deadpool Wolverine. You cannot tell me that Hugh Jackman's performance was not Oscar worthy. Austin Butler, Glenn Powell, Nicolas Cage, Hugh Grant. You've got Jesse Plemons, Nicholas Hoult, Channing Tatum, and of course the monkey from Better Man, all giving fantastic performances in each of their films. I'm sorry if their films weren't necessarily your cup of tea, but you cannot tell me that any of the guys who are just on that list there don't deserve to be nominated in some way, shape, or form. This is a heavily competitive year, and every single one of these guys who had performed in their film this year gave it their absolute all. Next up is then Best Actress. Again, you got 5 nominations for this one. We've got Mikey Madison for Anora. I personally think she's going to win this one. You've then got Cynthia Erivo for Wicked. Now, as much as she did give an incredible performance, I do think that there are better Oscar-worthy performances for this category. You've got Demi Moore for The Substance, who also could very much win this category. You've got Carla Sofia Garçon for Emilia Perez, and you've got Fernando Torres for I'm Still Here, of course, the Brazilian international film, which has been very, very highly praised. My snubbed actresses, very similar to Andrew Garfield, we of course have Florence Pugh for her appearance in We Live in Time. This was utterly fantastic. Her performance was one of the best of her career, and I mean, for God's sake, she shaved her head for the role. She literally threw herself into this more than any other role she's had so far, and I think it's just utterly beautiful cinema. Another one that we've all been talking about, of course, Anya Taylor-Joy for her appearance in Mad Max. Lily Rose Depp for her appearance in Nosferatu. She was incredible, and I'm so surprised that she was not on this list. Nicole Kidman for Baby Girl. Zendaya for Challengers. Pamela Anderson as well. She's obviously been out in a new film recently. She's been one that everyone's really, really sad to have not seen nominated. Other actresses also include Kirsten Dunst, Anna Kendrick, Emma Stone, Jodie Comer, Kirsten Stewart, and Lupita Nyong'o. All fantastic actresses who, again, put their all into their characters this year. And just like the men's category, not a single one of these actresses are not worthy of this Oscar position. Just to give you an idea that Emilia Perez, which has this rating on Letterboxd, got nominated 13 times. That's more than any other film in this entire year, and that's more nominations than Parasite. That's more nominations than the original Star Wars trilogy combined. Anyway, we then go on to supporting actor. We've got Kieran Culkin for his performance in A Real Pain. Of course, he did win Best Actor at the Golden Globes. I think he could go on to win Best Actor, or Best Supporting Actor, sorry, in the Oscars as well. Got Edward Norton for his appearance in A Complete Unknown. You've got Guy Pearce for The Brutalist. You've got Yura Borisov for Anora. And you've got Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. For me, snubs, I think, are also people who are very deserving of this. You've got Josh O'Connor for The Challengers. I think he would have been up there competing with Kieran Culkin for that title. You've got Austin Butler for Dune 2. I don't know how he's not in this list. You've got Joseph Quinn for his appearance in, to be fair, either A Quiet Place or Gladiator, because he was good in both. You've got Denzel Washington for Gladiator 2. That has been the most popular of all of the snubs on this list. But to be fair, I'd even throw out the supporting cast for Nosferatu. Aaron Taylor-Johnson was fantastic in that, and it definitely made up for Kraven the Hunter. We also got Willem Dafoe, who, need I say more, I definitely think the snubs list could be longer in this category as well. Then onto supporting actress, we've got Zoe Saldana for her performance in Emilia Perez. Again, Second up, we've got Ariana Grande for, of course, her performance in Wicked. And for me, that's a personal winner because she really embodied this character and was wicked. You've got Isabella Rossellini, of course, for her performance in Conclave. You've got Monica Barbaro for her performance in A Complete Unknown. And last up, we've got Felicity Jones for her performance in The Brutalist. Again, I think this is a pretty close list, but I do think Ariana Grande deserves this award. And the snubs for this category are as follows. Margaret Qualley for The Substance, a huge snub that a lot of people are talking about online. I personally think she could have won this if she was going up against Ariana Grande. Selena Gomez for Emilia Perez. The fact that Zoe Saldana was nominated and then Selena wasn't is quite a shock to some people. And last up, Jamie Lee Curtis. Okay, on to original screenplay now. Our 5 nominations are Anora, Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5th, and Substance. I think the 2 films that could be snubbed from this category are We Live in Time and I Saw the TV Glow, of which all have had a very big reception online, especially a lot of people wanting I Saw a TV Glow some sort of representation in this. And to be honest, I think this is anybody's category. I think all 5 of those films are very deserving of the spot, and I think any single one of these could be winning that position as well. Next up is then adapted screenplay. 5 nominations. You got A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing. Now Nickel Boys has been the favourite to win this category. Sing Sing also up there as well. However, I think Conclave will take this home. And to be honest, I couldn't really think of any snubs for this. I think that's a pretty decent list, bar Emilia Perez. Animated film up next. Of course, this is my main category that I am rooting for. You've got Pixar's Inside Out 2, a fantastic film, and of course the highest grossing film of last year, being one of only 2 films to gross over $1 billion in the box office. And if you want to see what film is coming out in 2025 that could potentially reach that billion mark, click the card there, or there's a link down in the description down below for which 2025 film will join the $1 billion box office club. You've then got Flow in second place. I'm yet to see this. I'm really anticipating to see this. It's an international animated feature. It looks absolutely gorgeous, but of course, because it's international, I am yet to see it here in the UK. I am trying to find this online. We've then got Memoir of a Snail, a nice little nomination there. For me, this is like this year's version of Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. And then you've also got Wallace and Gromit, of course, Aardman Animation coming back with the return of Feathers McGraw. Again, check out the video in the description down below if you want to see where Feathers McGraw has been for the last 30 years, but they came back with a bang. Everybody loved A Vengeance Most Foul, and quite deservingly so. Wallace and Gromit gets its 2nd Academy Award nomination, of course, after The Curse of the Were-Rabbit being nominated in the early 2000s. For me, though, the winner of this category is, of course, DreamWorks' Wild Robot. It was absolutely stunning. Every single second of this film is what animated films should be, and it is definitely setting the bar higher and higher for films in the future. For me, The Wild Robot, the moment I saw it come on the screen, this was my Oscar winner, and I will back it till the end of the day. Snub from this category, however, I do think Transformers 1 deserved to be on this list, and a selfless promo for my Christmas film that I worked on that Christmas. Not going to get nominated, but it had been nominated in the shortlist, which was kind of cool. Go check it out if you haven't already. And know we're in nearly February. Up next is then Best VFX, Best Visual Effects. You've got Dune Part 2, and that for me is my immediate winner. The Dune visual effects were absolutely stellar. They blew everything out of the water, and for me, there was not a single issue with part of the VFX in Dune Part 2. You got Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I definitely think this is also deserving of this nomination. I think it was a very good film for its visual effects. Third up, you got Alien Romulus. Same thing exactly again, and I do like the fact that they started using sort of more puppeteering stuff. I'm a big fan of the Muppets, as you may be able to tell, and to be working with Jim Henson Creature Workshop to bring those original effects back to life, just as they did with, of course, the classic Alien film, I thought was fantastic. You've then got Better Man in 4th. I actually think this is very deserving of being a winner. The thing is, of course, Better Man did hugely flop in the box office, which is a massive shame, because this film is incredible. Not only from a story point of view, and I mean, this might just be me having been worked in the industry, knowing exactly what to look for good VFX and good animation, but oh my god, Better Man went above and beyond. They included shots in this film which were hundreds of thousands of pounds over budget to what they actually needed to produce, and they went above and beyond and delivered. They did not make mistakes. There's a shot in this film that I remember specifically where Robbie Williams as the monkey walks into frame, and he is reflected off 7 different mirrored surfaces. Why was that necessary? Just reframe the shot, but they executed it to absolute perfection. Better Man really needs to be spoken about. And then for me, in number 5, Wicked. I'm sorry, but the VFX in this film were all over the place. There was a lot of errors that people have spotted already. I will say, very visually pleasing. We'll come onto that a little bit later, but the VFX for me, were beaten so much by the other four in this category, but also the snubs we've got below it. I cannot believe, and although some people may say it's a silly children's film, the VFX for Sonic 3 was fantastic. This is how to use VFX to elevate your storytelling. This is exactly the type of content that these films should be following. Of course, a very different type of film to Dune Part 2, but it still uses the visual effects in the correct way to portray its storytelling. And for me, Sonic 3 should have been on this list. Another one up there is Twisters. Now again, this is another one that not many people think of as a VFX heavy film. And having worked at Industrial Light and Magic, the guys behind Twisters, and to be honest, many of these films over the year, oh my god, the amount of effort and time that I saw getting put into this film was utterly flawless. The amount of simulation, and to be honest, if you haven't already, check out Corridor Crew, a really big inspiration of mine on YouTube, and they actually break down exactly what it takes to make Twisters, and some of the biggest, incredible CGI that you would have seen all year. Twisters, for me, definitely should have been nominated. And to be honest, I'll even throw out another one there. Deadpool Wolverine. The CG was pretty good for the most part. I think it was really, really cool. They definitely sort of pushed the boundaries of CG. And although I don't necessarily think it would make a top 5 for the VFX of the years, I definitely think that Deadpool Wolverine should get some sort of like nomination or been spoken about in some way, shape or form. Of course, it is very well known that Marvel movies get underrepresented in these sort of categories and in the sort of awards ceremonies in general. But for me, Deadpool Wolverine was really, really good for its visual effects. Okay, on to sound and editorial now. So, best overall sound, 5 nominations. Got A Complete Unknown, hope so, it's a musical biopic. Got Emilia Perez, you've got Wicked, fair enough, it was a great film. Wild Robot, which I think is very, very closely deserving of the top spot. But of course, my top choice is Dune Part 2. Again, the overall world building and the overall editorial soundtrack was fantastic. Without a soundtrack like this, and without the overall sound usage from anything from the sand crawlers to the sand in general, to the way they spoke, the music, the language that they'd created, without all of that coming together, this film would not be the film it is. And for me, that is why it should win this category. Snubs in this category, of course, yet again, Challengers missing out. The sound in Challengers was fantastic. And then that brings me onto Best Original Score. And sticking on Challengers, although it's not in the list, again, Challengers not being nominated for anything at the upcoming Academy Awards is utterly criminal. But Challengers had a brilliant soundtrack. Again, not my favourite film of the year, but my good lord, from a soundtrack and editorial point of view, this film went above and beyond. And to be honest, I think it should have won. But the nominations there are 5 of them. You've got Wicked. I don't really get it. Like, I appreciate the fact that, yes, it's got a fun soundtrack, but it's a soundtrack based on a pre-existing soundtrack, based on a musical. Is that allowed? I personally don't think that should be allowed at the Oscars. You've got Conclave. It might be great. Haven't seen it. Same with The Brutalist. Wild Robot, again, very, very valid. This had a brilliant, brilliant soundtrack. And then Emilia Perez, again. The fact that Emilia Perez beat Challengers and Dune Part 2 to Best Soundtrack is utterly, utterly abysmal. We've then got a Best Original Song, and kind of continuing on that trend, Emilia Perez was not just nominated once, but twice. Twice this film was nominated for Best Original Song, joined with an original song from the 688, a song from Sing Sing, and Never Too Late as well. Now, I'm not overly sure who I think should win this category, because for me, Best Original Song should have gone to one of these 3 films that was snubbed. Challengers, I think it should have won it. Twisters, again, a very good choice that took the world by storm. Third and finally, Mufasa. I can't lie, the soundtrack was great. It was really good. Lin-Manuel Miranda, as always, cooked. And to be honest, just look at TikTok, look at social media, just to see exactly how much these films have cooked. Okay, on to the next category, we've got cinematography. Now, it absolutely baffles me that one of the biggest cinematographers of the year has not been nominated. He was the cinematographer behind 3 massive major features this year. Challengers. He was the cinematographer behind, although not the greatest film in the world, Trap and Queer. 3 massive, massive films. So for me, Sayumbu Muktiprom definitely needed to be represented, and he didn't get nominated once. Your nominees are The Brutalist, fair play. Nosferatu, a very close winner. This was a very, very well shot film. Maria, Emilia Perez. And my winner, Dune. This, as I say, is cinema. If you cannot define the word cinema as something like the absolute masterpiece that was Dune 2, come on. I mean, the word cinema is literally in cinematography. This was absolutely beautiful. But again, my snubs do include Challengers, Nickel Boys, and Conclave. And that brings me on to best editing. We've got Anora, Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, and Wicked. Now, I think a lot of these did have really good editing, but there are two films that stuck out a hell of a lot more than any of the others to me. Challengers, the editing for that was absolutely fantastic. And Better Man, again, the editing was brilliant. It helped tell the story in such unique ways, and it was really, really well done. Those transitions into different scenes and the way that blended the CGI together was brilliant. It needs to be spoken about more. But for me, I reckon Anora will probably take this home, that or The Brutalist. Okay, on to best international feature now. Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, which I think is going to be the winner. Of course, that is pegged to be it anyway, the Brazilian film that's been highly represented at the moment. Everybody seems to love this one. The Girl with the Needle, Seed of the Sacred Flag, and of course, the animated feature we spoke about earlier, Flow. However, for me, the actual winner is the snub, and that is the Irish film, Kneecap. I cannot believe this did not make the top 5 because Kneecap was utterly fantastic. It had very good reviews online. I was lucky enough to see this film. It was very limited release here in the UK, but I absolutely loved Kneecap. I definitely think it should be nominated, and to be honest, I think could have won. Although I'm Still Here is meant to be very, very good. Okay, next up we've then got production design. You've got Nosferatu, which I think is a very, very valid choice. You've got Conclave, again, a very valid choice. Wicked, which is my personal winner because I do generally think the production quality on Wicked was absolutely fantastic. The fact that they built 95% of the sets was brilliant. They only used CG when they needed to. The Brutalist, and of course, Dune Part 2, which could equally be a winner for me as well. But I personally think that Wicked does take this one home, with the snub being Deadpool Wolverine, because again, these sets were fantastic, and the overall attention to detail, especially seeing as Marvel really hasn't done well over the last couple of years of making sure they please comic book fans, this film definitely did it. So Sean Levy, Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, fair play. Okay, last two now. We've got costume and then we've got hair and makeup just after that one. But starting off with the costuming. Wicked, Nosferatu, Gladiator 2, A Complete Unknown, Conclave. For me, I don't really think A Complete Unknown should necessarily be in this category just because it's a time period piece. They didn't have to be too creative with it. For me, Wicked, Nosferatu, they're the winners for me. Either of those, I'll be more than happy to take it home. But snubbed once more, Dune Part 2. The costuming in this was absolutely fantastic. And although, yes, it was repeated from the first one, they also didn't get enough attention from the first film either. And then lastly, today, we've then got our hair and makeup. Your nominees are Wicked, very, very valid. The Substance, even more valid. Nosferatu, incredible. A Different Man, 100%. And Emilia Perez. You've then, of course, got your biggest snub here as well, is Dune Part 2, because the makeup here was fantastic. Of course, Austin Butler and the rest of those crazy guys all had fantastic makeup there. But for me, Wicked, The Substance, or Nosferatu, easily take the cake here. I'd be happy with any of those. But that is it. That is my thoughts on the 2025 Academy Awards, the nominations that have been announced. I will also then cover this in a couple weeks' time when, of course, the actual winners are announced. I will let you guys know what I think. And then hopefully I would have actually watched some more of these films by the time that the Academy Awards actually happened. There is rumours they're going to be pushed back, of course, due to the tragic fires in LA at the moment. So hopefully they will be still taking place in some way, shape or form. And of course, if you guys do want to donate and help out anything that is happening over in LA at the moment, I do actually have a link in my bio on my YouTube channel. So head over there to a GoFundMe and start donating to help out some people around the world. But for now, I will see you in the next video. Stay safe, peace out, like and subscribe, and I will see you very shortly. Peace.